You're listening to Pole Parlour, a fun, inspiring podcast for all those bewitched by pole dance. Each week, your Madam Crimson Minxxx has candid conversation with unique, engaging individuals from within and around the pole dance community. Pole Parlour is passionate about preaching creativity, soulful sensuality, and empowerment through pole dance.
You know how we do.
Welcome everyone to Pole Parlour. This is episode 32, Nadia Sharif. I'm your host, Crimson Minxxx. This week we have the one and only Nadia Sharif. On this episode, we talk about how Nadia transitioned from an engineer to a full-time pole dancer, what inspires her unique style of movement, and how it can be applied by dancers of all levels, and her experience jet-setting around the world as an international pole star. This interview is really fun, and I freaking adore Nadia's legit enthusiasm and love for all things pole. So don't forget to check out Nadia's post-podcast interview on the blog at poleparlour.com, where she shares her favorite photos, music, video, and more. And I would also love to connect with you on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Spotify, YouTube, everywhere. I am at Pole Parlour on everything, so I hope to find you all on the social media as well. So now, here is Nadia.
Been dazed and confused for so long, it's not true.
Okay, welcome Nadia Sharif to the Pole Parlour podcast. How are you today?
Yay, I'm doing fantastic.
Oh, good. So glad to have you with us. And we will jump right on into the first question that we ask everyone. For how long have you been pole dancing, and how did you first discover pole?
I've been pole dancing about 9 years. I discovered pole via YouTube. I was like an aspiring B-girl. I was a street performer as a younger child, and I would see the B-boys, and as I started to get older, I was like, I want to do that. I want to be like them. And I was pretty bad. I mean, I'm still pretty bad too today. But because of breakdancing, I was like watching a lot of YouTube. And you know when you just start clicking and clicking and clicking,
yeah.
And then I ended up on that Felix Kane video, you know, the off with their head.
Everyone brings up a Felix Kane video at some point during their interview. She's an introductory drug to pole dance for a lot of people.
Yeah, like bow down to the queen. She was the reason so I went to IKEA and I just installed this piece of closet, I guess, the rod that you hang things on. I just went into my attic, drilled it in, and then just started drinking Sparks that are now illegal.
Yes, those were
right.
dangerous, but
they got me where I'm at today.
If it helped you get your pole dance on your shower curtain rod that you were dancing on, that's amazing. So this was, you said 9 years ago, so this was in 2007?
Yeah, end of 2007. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. And so were you doing anything else at the time, or were you just a full-time B-girl performer?
I was actually in university, being an engineering student, and just at the time, I think I was doing two other jobs. I was a semi-professional poker player, and I was really aspiring. And then I was also a body piercer. So those were my part-time jobs. And then when I found pole dancing, my mom actually told me about a place called Jumbo's Clown Room.
Your mom told you about Jumbo's.
Okay, my mama. Yeah, she was like, oh, you'll love this place. She went there on a date with her boyfriend. And she's like, my little Nadia could do that. And she told me to go, and I checked it out. And I was like, this place is dope. And I worked there for a summer. And it was really set the tone of how I dance till today, definitely.
Yeah, for those, we talk about it on the podcast all the time, but if you haven't caught it, Jumbo's Clown Room is a bikini, bar in Los Angeles, but you throw dollars. It has a pole on stage. It's sexy as hell. It's just not all nude, but so that is where a lot of people that I've spoken to in Los Angeles seem to pass through there at some point
definitely.
of their pole dance adventures. That's so cool. So, like, your mom wasn't, like, throwing you shade for stopping the engineering thing, or?
Well, I still continued with engineering,
Okay.
and yeah, it was like really part time. And my mom has always been, really into the arts. She was an elite gymnast growing up, so she always wanted me to be, a dancer, a gymnast, a mover, and she's always been very supportive of that. She's like very Hispanic, so like she's not one to be like prude. She, I grew up with her like in mini skirts and high heels, like in the kitchen. That's just how she was. So like she does, she's always been very supportive, and I'm really blessed to have her as a mother.
Oh, that's so cool. So you definitely have your own style of pole dance. How would you describe it? Because when you said like B-girl, I definitely get a sense of that. But what else influences your dance style?
I feel like there's sort of like two ways to dance in my mind. And there's like, when I'm in a classroom, like a dance class, I'm going to do as I'm told. And I'm going to try to follow the rules, and I'm going to try to apply the techniques that the teacher's giving me. But then there's that other side that's just really, really live. And that's like from street performing, from, dancing at jumbos, where you just go off pure vibe and you kind of go into something with no expectations. I go in and just, kind of just let myself be one with the music. So my dance style is just going to change depending on what's playing. So if it's hard rock, I'm going to go hard. If it's, soft lyrical, I'm going to do however I interpret that. Yeah. Vibey, free, I don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like you definitely have some, like, it's almost like has like gymnastics. It seems like South American to me. It seems a bit like you have backgrounds in other areas, like other dance styles that is influencing it. You're not like a typical type of like flowy, traditional dance.
Right, I do study like capoeira, which is
That's what I was searching.
Yeah.
Like, there's a word I'm not thinking of.
What is it? Yeah.
Damn it. Thank you. That is what was in my mind. I was like, I guarantee she has to practice that. Okay, so that's what that is. It's
kind of interesting because like my coach is actually the person who got me into it, and she always said that I just kind of naturally would move in that sort of rocking, falling sort of a feel. And so she's like, you should just do capoeira because it looks like you're doing capoeira anyways. Yeah. And I would try it and I'd be like, I don't know, like this classroom's like slow or it's kind of annoying. But I kept trying in different places around the world whenever I got the chance. Yeah. And capoeira and African are two that like I vibe with really well. They're just very free. Technique is optional, like secondary is like no, like pointed toes and straight lines are not a primary rule in those movements, which is why I like them so much.
Yeah, well, you definitely stand out of having like your own unique style, which I think really contributes to your success. Do people who do their own thing. Yeah, of course. So, am I correct that now you are a full-time like performer, polar?
Yeah. So I left my engineering career in 2012. Actually, I got like, those Facebook on this day or whatever. So on this day, 4 years ago, I left for my first European tour. And so it's been at least 4 years that I've been a full-time touring artist. And supported myself in some magical way with pole dancing only for the last 4 years.
Yeah, what does that look like? Like, how do you go from amateur dancer to professional dancer? Yeah, like what's the hustle in that? And I'm sure
it was like it was really strange. It was like in 2012, I had a really good year, and I won 3 competitions, a state, a national, and an international competition with my doubles partner.
Who is Mina Mechanic, who we had on the podcast before. So
Mina! Yeah, that's my girl. And so I had a really good year, and so I thought it was also like I was just transitioning, like I was working as a full-time engineer while competing. And it was like, sleep was not happening at all, ever. Just like go, working like 60, 70 hours a week. And so after I won those competitions, I was like, great, this is a perfect way for me to retire. I'm amazing. I won. I'm good. I'm just going to have my little engineering job and like maybe I'll just do some handstands on the side for funsies. And so when I was working, I kept getting like offers like, oh, do you want to come to Brazil and teach workshops? And I'm like, yeah, but I have a job. Do you want to come to Amsterdam and teach workshops? Yeah, but I have a job. And I kept turning down all of these offers. And finally, I got like sick in the head from trying to like balance these two lives and trying to do like weekend gigs and just having no sleep, not taking care of myself. And then finally, I just lost it, left my engineering job, and was like, I basically jumped with no safety net and just hoping that the universe would take care of me. And hey, well, I've been doing okay. Yeah.
Yeah, good for you that worked out. So that was about, was that like 2011-ish then, when you started kind of touring and doing it full time? Just trying to put a timeline together.
Yeah, somewhere around there. I want to say it was probably early 2012 that I like left my job and then I think I didn't do anything for like 2 months. I was like on a medical leave because I wasn't really balanced in life. And, but I was getting paid from engineering because, I was working then.
Yeah.
Right. Thank God for that. And so I think I just had that time to sort of figure out what was happening. And so I think I started touring probably around mid 2012. Yeah, somewhere around there. Mid to late, maybe.
Do you feel like concentrating on the pole and just having one thing to focus on kind of brought you that more like mental balance as well? And you get to like express yourself, or it's just kind of like...
It does feel better, yeah. Like it does feel so much better that I get to move and do what I want to do. But pole dancing is still, I have found, like a very legit job. Like you can't, you have to be on point in a lot of ways. You have to communicate with people and you have to, schedule your life right. Nobody's writing you a check every 2 weeks. So you got to make sure that you have enough gigs to supply that and that you're not, there comes a point where like you get really desperate, like November, December, January, it's like cold and dry. Nobody wants to hire you and it's Christmas and we got no money. And that is a real life struggle, so you just have to maintain integrity even during the hard times and, still realize that studios are supporting you and you have to be sure to continue to support the community that is supporting you, so it's a lot of work, a lot of unpaid work that, doesn't really get on the books anywhere, but I just feel really grateful for all of it.
Yeah, it's a hustle. When you're not actually doing it, you're hustling to book things and to like make it work and promote yourself, which is like how you then get more bookings. So
yeah.
Now, so it sounds like you travel a lot. First of all, how often are you on the road?
I want to say like the last 3 or 4 years, I've probably been on the road about 40 to 50% of the year.
Wow.
So it's a lot. And being on the road could mean like I'm going to the Midwest. It could mean I'm going to Florida. It could mean I'm going to South America, Australia, Africa, Europe, Asia, you name it. It could be anywhere. And it's sometimes it's like an amazing feeling to just be like, peace out, LA. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm missing my niece's birthday. Or, oh, it's Thanksgiving and I'm alone in Asia or something. You know what I mean? Like it's just, it can be really hard.
Wow. Yeah, I feel you. I'm not a huge traveler, so I feel like I would struggle with that. But let's talk about some of the good points. Like where are some amazing places you've traveled? And do you have any like travel stories for us or anything like that?
Sure. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, there's a lot of places that have like a huge piece of my heart. Like, I'm actually going to New Zealand for my 3rd time. I'm like leaving tonight to get over the pond. But New Zealand like has my heart. They are just the sweetest people and so kind and cute. And the first time I actually showed up, I like smuggled in apples from Australia. Yeah, like I didn't think it was a big deal, but it was like a huge deal. Yeah. And I got like a ticket and they were like telling me that I'm lucky that they weren't going to incarcerate me and all this stuff. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I'm so sorry I brought in apples from Australia. And I got a huge ticket. Anyway, so I went to the studio owner and I told, she picked me up and I told her what happened. And she was like, oh, yeah, like you can't bring in fruit from other countries. There I go. Okay. So I told her, like, man, they wrote me a really fatty ticket. And she's like, well, one of my students that's signing up for your workshops works at Calendar Girls, which is like a strip club.
Okay.
And there's like a chain of them in New Zealand. So I worked at like basically all the Calendar Girls in New Zealand in the nights, and they like had me as a featured dancer, and like I made all my money back and more. And that was like, I was telling everybody, like, I'm Miss Stripper New Zealand now. Like, put it on my titles.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Nicest strippers I've ever met. I've dabbled with some of the strip clubs in LA, and like I feel like I'm gonna get murdered by the females. Some of them are just like they want to just eat you alive, like especially if you're featuring, like they're not the friendliest of people. It's Hollywood, Hollywood can be any kind of way. But the people but New Zealanders, like the Kiwis, oh my God, they were like, oh, you're so great. Oh, if you need to borrow an outfit, you could borrow mine. I'm like, what? You guys are amazing, beautiful people. So New Zealand is like one of the top places on my list.
What are the strip clubs like there?
Like, well, it's interesting because the first time I featured, I thought everybody hated me and like didn't like my style because nobody throws money on the stage. And so I was like looking on the floor like, where's my money though? And then I realized, so I just sat down and was like, okay, whatever, at least, I'm here, I'm having a drink, I'm having a good time. And then one of the girls was like, no, you have to go around and ask them. And when they give you money, it's not real money, it's like Calendar Girls money. And then you turn that money in at the end of the night and they give you like real New Zealand dollars. So I was like, okay, I didn't know that process. They don't do that in Hollywood. Like you get ones on the floor and you leave with what you got,
Because they have coin currency or something, and that.
I don't know. I think maybe it's like so you don't like lie on percentages. You're supposed to pay a cut. Maybe it doesn't feel. I really have no idea why they do it that way, but
it worked for you.
Yeah, like once I figured out what was going on, I was like, okay, I'll go around, say hi to everybody, collect my Calendar Girls money. I actually still have one. I save it, my little memento.
Oh, that's awesome. So when you go back, are you going to work at Calendar Girls or not this time?
I mean, I might if the girl's still there and I have any energy left. I'm like, I don't think I have not one day off in New Zealand, but if I have any energy at all, I'll definitely reach out to the girl and see if they're interested in hiring me again.
Yeah, this is perfect because I'm so curious, like when you're on tour, what's it like? So when you're going to New Zealand, like what's an average like day or week or, how long is your trip? So what does it all entail?
Like when I get to New Zealand, I'm going to this city. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's called Invercargill, I think. And it's like the very, very southest point of New Zealand. And it's a very small airport. So to even get there takes like a day and a half, even though it's not that far away from the Gold Coast. And so that's like a huge travel just to get there. And then when I'm there, I'm teaching 3 workshops, over 2 days. And then I fly out to another city and I have like a travel day, which is my day off. And then another day of workshops. I think in Wellington, which is the next city I'm going to, it's like 4 days, 3 studios, and something ridiculous like my new Twisted Intensive, which is a 2-day, 8-hour program, plus like 8 workshops on top of that. So if you could just teach, eat, sleep, and have a beer, like you're golden. If there's any, you know what I mean? Like that's all if that's all I do, then I'm great. Like just functioning can be difficult because like also you're seeing people. For me, I'll know a lot of people there. And so it's like a lot of energy to like just be with them. And it feels so good to and it's like sleep is like a maybe, like, 4 or 5 hours, whatever, get up and do it again. So it's crazy and hectic, but like the love just like feeds you, the love just like keeps you going because it's, people are just so stoked and I'm stoked too.
That's cool. So how long are you coming right back to the U.S. after New Zealand, or do you just, since you're over there, do you continue going to other countries?
No, so I'm just doing a camp in Australia, which is a weekend camp. I'm leaving tonight. And then I spend about 12 days in New Zealand, and then I go home.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's about a little bit more than a 2-week trip, which is like plenty. It's plenty.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a better idea of what this whole touring thing is all about.
It's chaotic. It's definitely chaotic and crazy, and you don't know like what type of hotels vary. Like they're not Western style everywhere you go. So you walk in, you're like, and this is what a hotel looks like in Iceland. Okay. Okay, nice to know. And so you just don't know, what to expect. Food is different, air is different, water is different, like hotel rooms are different, beds are different, cultures are different, and you just have to be very adaptable. And luckily, I feel like I've grown very accustomed to just being adaptable and going with the flow. Low maintenance lifestyle helps with that.
Yeah, and don't put fruit in your suitcase, for crying out loud.
And that's not, I know, I always get burned. That's like the third time I get burned with exotic fruits, like big time smuggler right here.
So when you're not touring, what's your life like then? So do you like teach at a studio, or are you doing like, what else are you up to when you're not traveling the world?
So when I'm in LA, I usually take that as my me time, where I train myself. I do a lot of cross training. I'll take like, lots of different martial arts classes, like right down the street from me. I live in a very Asian, community. And so we have like Hapkido, Wushu, Taekwondo, all kinds of different, martial arts, Muay Thai. And so I love taking that, and capoeira, and then just like messing around in the studio, definitely always just to try to, explore, discover, mess around. And then as income, like I just do privates.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's hard to teach because then I just like mess with the flow of the studio, to be honest. It's like, hey, I'm home for 4 weeks. Put me on the schedule, and then when I'm gone, just change your whole schedule for me. So I don't like to like mess with the studio schedule too much. So I usually just, that's why I have to travel so much too, because it's like almost impossible to, just only teach pole, like in LA. It's not, it doesn't make much sense. Yeah.
Are you still doing like competitions and stuff, or are those days over?
I want to say those days are over. I'm really trying to think like what could bring me out of that. I mean, I did do Miss Pole Dance America, which brought me like way out of my competition like flow. I was pretty much done with serious competitions in 2012. I did do IPC in 2013 with my doubles partner, and I kind of thought like, all right, let's leave it at that. It cost so much money that it was just like I couldn't get myself to do it. But Miss Pole Dance America was like, wow, it just like hit me like, oh, this is what competing is like. I forget how much training and time and energy goes into it. But like seeing that piece come to life and having that video, I was just like really proud of the piece that I put together. So I was like, okay, worth it. But maybe not in a rush to do it again.
Yeah, I'll put that video link in the show notes so people can check it out. I mean, it's such an honor to be nominated for that, and your piece was so energetic and so fun and so creative.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I had a good time doing it.
Yeah, but I'm sure the preparation is just intense.
Like, just imagine listening to that music, like waking up, having your coffee, and putting that music on with your monster heels, and like giving that in the studio with like one person or 0 people sitting there. Like, you have to dig deep, to pull that out.
Yeah, you got to be into it for serious. There's no like half-assing that.
No.
Oh, I want to bring up your monster heels since you mentioned that. What is like the average size heels? Like, first of all, I feel like I always see you dancing in heels. I don't ever, well, I'm sure I've seen you barefoot, but it's not coming to memory. I always picture you in my head dancing in like 10-inch heels. What's up with that? How do you, when did you start doing that?
So the first person that I saw wear 10 inchers is Tiffany in Glasgow, Scotland. She owns Pole Physique, and she's like an animal. I actually adore her style and watching her dance because she just is so live and raw. And so when I saw hers, I was like, oh, those are fucking cool. And I would have stolen hers, but they weren't my size. So luckily, like Bad Kitty and Pleasers have like a family. So I can get like tons of Pleasers. So I ordered a pair of 10 inchers, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to try these out. And when I put them on, I felt like I was walking in stilts. And I never once thought like these are sexy. I always thought like these are pretty fucking ridiculous, and they're kind of heinous, and I feel ridiculous and crazy, and nothing is easy. Everything is difficult, and I just love them because they look like something else. Yeah, it's like not even stripper wear anymore. It's like next level weirdo circus shit. I don't even know what.
Yeah, whenever I see 10 inch, I'm not like, oh, hot bitch. I'm like, how the fuck does she walk in those? Like, that's intense. She's so talented. It does. Your brain goes to a different place when they get that high.
Yeah, it's just like, so since I wore the 10 inchers, I started like really loving the weight at the end of and it kind of goes with like this movement theory that I have that's like, into like a lot of swings and throws to create momentum. And when you start putting that much weight at the end, it starts to almost get like pendulum ricochets, like it messes with the physics of it too. So that kind of like got me off, and I was like, I think I'm loving these. So now like my average size heel is like an 8 inch to a 10 inch. And like anything less than that feels almost too light.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's like wearing ankle weights, really.
They're extremely heavy. They're like 5 pounds each, the 10 inchers. Just extremely difficult to just like, inversions are crazy hard. But it also messes with like the twists and the techniques, which is kind of how I came up with the twisted intensive. It's like just a whole different technique on everything, climbing, inverting. That's just kind of, a little bit different from what the traditional classes are going to teach. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So do you have any tips for us on how to walk in really high heels and not break our ankles? Or is it just something you just have to keep doing and just get used to it?
I used to like train in the studio with Phoenix Kazri, and she would be like on the pole doing stuff, and I would just put on my 10 inchers and walk and straight up fall.
Okay, so it happened to you too.
Oh yeah, like walking would be the most difficult thing anybody could do. Once you get on the pole or holding the pole, your chances are a lot better. Handstanding, you're okay, but like walking, just like take your time. Take your time. Keep your weight on top of you. Don't get too creative. Just step, like
figure out a way to get into a crawl so you can like sexy slither to the pole or something.
That's definitely something that has saved me, is like I have a really good falling technique and sort of just awareness. So I've fallen a lot. I've even fallen like on stage, and like when you play it back, it looks like I meant to do that. Yeah. But replaying that in my head, it was scary.
Yeah. Okay. So if you're in high heels and you catch yourself falling, just fall, make it as cool as possible.
Go with it. Yeah.
What else are you going to do? It's already happening. So now like the next thing is like, how do I play this off?
Definitely. Like just go with it, roll, hair whip, and take your time to stand up.
Okay, good thing to note. I'm going to remember that. Not that I wear 10-inch heels, but maybe someday. And so you mentioned before that you have like relationships with like Pleaser and Bad Kitty, and I know you also have a relationship with UPA. So like, how did those start, and what are those relationships?
Well, I'm a Bad Kitty like brand ambassador, and I think how it started was, I was always kind of in the mix with Bad Kitty, like the owners, as friends. So as soon as I met them, we just kind of clicked. And I was doing doubles with Mina, who was like their first brand director. And so they would always like send both of us outfits, so it was like Trisha Stone used to have this joke that it was like, oh, I love you guys. It's like I buy one and I get one free. And I'm like, oh, I'm the free one. I realized that. And so I think it was just like only a matter of time before they were like, okay, we'll make you a brand ambassador. everything's the same. You still get a bunch of stuff from us. So it was like a very natural transition for them. And they're the ones that have a connection with Pleaser because they sell Pleasers on their site. So as part of like our contract, you know, we get lots of stuff. And one of those stuffs is Pleasers. Yay!
That is just worth it in and of itself. My goodness.
Right. Same thing with UPA. Anne-Marie was one of the first people that I've actually ever met in the pole industry outside of Jumbo's. Even though she was working at Jumbo's, I never worked with her. Like, she was like cool and like an OG at Jumbo's and getting like Friday nights and Saturday nights. And I was like the Tuesday day girl shift. So like I never met her at Jumbo's, you know? So I actually auditioned for my first competition, which was put on like co-ran by Anne-Marie. And so I auditioned for her live, and it was like, you know, just like the first person I ever met. And I just sort of like kept working with her because I ended up competing in that competition, kept seeing her around, and we became friends. And, you know, she started UPA. Like, I've been with UPA since the beginning, just supporting her on like a personal level. And so when everybody started to grow, you know, UPA grew, I grew. It was also just a really natural relationship to sort of form.
Yeah. For those, if you don't know, UPA is United Pole Artists, and you can go back to a past episode. Nadia's talking about Anne-Marie Davies, who's the founder and is an OG poler. And so you can go back to the archives and check out the podcast with her and to learn more about UPA. And
cool.
So you've been with them from the beginning. I didn't know that. That's really cool. And you have something called Twisted TV.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, what is that?
Okay, so Twisted TV is basically a channel it's the Nadia channel, but like I didn't want to call it the Nadia channel. And it's what it is. It's a collection of workshops that you can watch. So a lot of people really want me to come to their studio, but I can only be in one place at one time. So I created this for people to be able to watch my workshops and learn from me in a really similar setting. So I taught the workshops like I would teach them live. Like, I had a student or two or three and went through every movement that I would normally do in a live workshop. So you can kind of go onto the channel and see. Right now we have 7 workshops on there, 3 of them in doubles and 4 of them in a variation of different workshops like spins on static, floor, and it's all named Twisted because it sort of goes along with my movement theory of like not staying straight bodied. If there's only one thing you can do, like forget the splits and perfect back bends and great needle scales. Like if you can just twist a little, a lot of things can come your way. And so everything's sort of branded as Twisted. It's the Nadia brand pretty much.
And you feel like that's accessible to people of all levels? Because I'm like, I could never learn from Nadia. She's like amazing. But
I know. So honestly, I know that I'm amazing, but so many people.
No.
Yeah, so many people get terrified because honestly, yeah, like I do a lot of crazy shit. Like I live on the edge all the time, and I would never teach those things to like any student. It actually, like, what I love to teach is movement theory. So I'll go back to the very basics. Like, let's climb and invert. That's like a big part of it. But like how you climb, how you invert, how you climb on top of an outside leg hang. Like, it's a very low intermediate level that I just like to get all the details on and put all of the movement theories. And people that are more advanced than that, they can take the same ideas and suggestions from how to invert in a basic invert and use that in a shoulder mount, use it in a handspring, use that in like some crazy combo. And that's what I really love to teach. I rarely ever teach crazy shit. That's like for privates if they beg me, you know? But definitely it's very accessible to like, I'd say a low intermediate level. Not beginners, because you need to have like some, more knowledge. Yeah, but I'd say like a low intermediate, definitely.
Oh, cool. Okay. So then how do people, so this is your channel, it's on UPA, the UPA website, and people just subscribe? You have to pay for this? Like, how does that
Yes. So we didn't do like any membership or anything like that. It's like super easy. You just go on upa.tv and then you find my channel. There's like other channels that exist on there, like Stretch It is also a channel, and some other channels. And then you can see all the workshops, and you just purchase like one, and they range anywhere from $10 to $20. And then you have that stream for 6 months, so you can go back to it and watch it on repeat for 6 months. And yeah, they're like super affordable. A lot of them are like, the average price is about $14.99, and so that's like unheard of for taking a class with me. You know, like most people are paying $60 to $75 to take a workshop with me, where they can't record the whole thing. So this is like honestly like a fraction of that
do
cost.
It over and over again.
Over and over. Just watch me over and over.
Creep out on you. Okay, I'll put the link to that in the show notes too if anyone's interested in checking that out, because it sounds really interesting. And then maybe it is like a good intro to see like how you do teach, so then when you do come through town, it's like, okay, now you got. So, because I always say that, like, I don't need pole stars knowing like how much I struggle with my inside, like something, you know. So I'm always like really timid to take workshops because I feel like I'm gonna look like a fool. But sounds like it's like that's what you work it to the level of the students.
Definitely, yeah. Like even signature tricks, like a lot of people. Then there's like the other half of the people that like want to do all this crazy shit, and it's like, we're not doing that though. Like I want to see you do a rotating climb and a little before you invert. Like that's what, and I think they start to get why I'm doing that. So if there's only one like workshop that I recommend to anybody, and it's like it's an all levels workshop, and it's really popular, is my Spins on Static one. It's like a science class. It's like half lecture, half lab, and people are like, you know, like so many light bulbs go off in that, and I love teaching it, you know, and it's one of the easiest workshops physically, but one that I see people grow like within 30 minutes. Like technique is changed, and now you're just going to spin. All spins are going to be better now just from that, you know?
That's cool. Yeah, because sometimes it's just wrapping your brain around things. Like, wait, how do you even... Oh, you just do this, and then you can, like you say, apply it to all your other moves. Okay. It's like movement theory, you call it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. That sounds really interesting, and I'm going to have to take one of your workshops now, but until that happens, what else are you working towards? Like, what's your trajectory moving forward? Because you've been touring for so long, and
girl,
you know, I mean, I'm assuming that can't go on forever, but like, do you have like ideas of where you want to take Nadia?
I mean, honestly, like what I would really like is, you know, to keep promoting Twisted TV and keep growing that. So I've also started recording like a season 2 where I just want it to be more of the science and more of the theories of movement. And that's mostly just because like I realize my body can't do this crazy shit forever. I don't know how much longer I have, but you know, I can still do it now. But I realized that, you know, this is an industry that has changed my life, and I love it so much that I just want to continue to give back and watch it grow. Like when you watch gymnastics like in the 70s, it's like so classic, and then you watch gymnastics now and it's like, what the hell, you know? So I hope that happens with us too, but not just in a trick orientation, but with an overall like twisty movement, windy, spinny, mad style. Like that's what I would hope starts to increase. And I feel like that's kind of happening, where it's like acrobatics meets like Russian stripper meets like, you know, something exotic but weird, but like really aesthetically pleasing. You know, that's what I'm hoping the industry will go towards. So I want to sort of help promote that movement. Something else that I've been working on that's like, so close to being ready is this clothing here. I'll show it to you because I'm in love with it. I'm actually doing a 14-hour flight where this is literally like what I want to wear. So it's like this onesie with like these huge pockets and like
I'm going to talk it through to people who are just listening to the audio. So I'll put a screen. I'll put if you have links to it, I'll put that in the show notes. But it's like this, like Oh, I'm terrible at fashion. So it's like a onesie, jumper, cotton, lycra with, it has like really cute halter top, low, it has a low back, so it's kind of like sexy, but it has kind of like a festival style, I would say, to it.
Yeah,
It has
yeah.
pockets, and who doesn't want, like, are those pants or shorts? Those are pants, right?
Yeah, they're pants. Here, I'll
They're
show
like,
you.
oh yeah, okay, that's really cute. But they have like the baggy butt hip area.
Mm-hmm.
Cute. It's like you can definitely, you can, well, if you have skill, you can definitely pull in that. But if not, you can definitely stretch, work out, drop in that. You know, and it has the open back, so you can do your shoulder business and not slip off. So you are creating a fashion line. Like, is it pole wear? Is it athletic wear?
I mean, I'm hoping that it's just like movement wear. So it's not necessarily, yeah, and it's like very easy that, you know, if you are going to the studio, you could easily wear your pole wear underneath. You could easily like run errands before or after. You could go to a meeting and not look like a hobo. You could go to the grocery store and not look like, because I'm always looking like I'm homeless. I told myself, like, I want to just not look homeless, but when all you're doing is going to the studio, I'm going to be in like sweats and a hoodie, and then I'm like meeting my friends for drinks at happy hour and then feeling really bad about myself, you know, like, and so with this, like, I feel like I could easily roll on the floor, do all my stretching, do all my warming up, easily take it off, do my pole stuff, and then put it back on and go out to normal real world where, you know, go to 7-Eleven and not look like I'm begging for money, you know, like.
Yes, that's
so
so true.
I'm
like tired of like the oversized t-shirt or hoodie and like sweatpants or yoga pants. Like, I get the functionality of that, but yeah, it's not like cute to even go in the grocery store with. But now you look so fucking cute. You've solved our problem.
Honestly, like, I've given a lot of them to my friends, and every time I see them, they're wearing them, and they're like, I haven't taken it off for 5 days. I keep wanting to wash it, but it just hasn't happened. They're just extremely comfortable and easy. You don't have to try and match. It's like one whole outfit, done. Yeah. You're done. So I'm very in love with it myself. So I think mostly what I want it to be is like, I'm hoping that, you know, when people you know, learn from me. Like, I'm doing also an intensive. I have a 2-day intensive that's called Twisted. And I'm hoping that, you know, they take the intensive and they'll probably want one of these. And then it's kind of a way to continue to like see my clothing on the movement. So, you know, people could wear it and then be like, oh, I'm practicing some of the movements that Nadia taught me. And it's kind of like all one sort of vibe where it's like this sort of a festival feel is totally right. And that's kind of the movement that we do too. It's kind of festive and free and like vibey. So I'm hoping that it all kind of like a look meets the movement and it just sort of blends into one beautiful thing.
I love that. Yeah, you're like branding yourself on people's movement when it's not super apparent that they've learned from you, but then they're wearing you, and so you're still like influencing their movement.
I hope so. I hope that this also, like, it's kind of like a thing. Like, my mom always told me, like, a real dancer is always ready. And I'm like, okay, so I'm always going to wear sweats and a t-shirt and I'm always ready. But then it gets old, you know, when you're 21, you know, you could get away with looking like a hobo, but I'm not feeling like that anymore. So with this, I still feel like I'm always ready. Like, if I end up at some backyard party, like, I could still get weird on like a bar table, you know, and like do a bridge or a handstand and like still show off or, you know, those type of things. Which is a big reason why I continue to train, like very much so inspired by party tricks. I realize like I'm going to be retiring pole dancing at some point, but I hope that I will always be able to bust out a party trick at any given point. Yeah, I've been practicing
You're going to be like that aunt at all of the weddings. It's like, oh, that's Aunt Nadia. She's the one doing like the worm or the handstand across the dance floor. Like, everyone has that aunt.
Yes.
Make it to like the 10th degree though.
Yes, that's my goal right there. Like, if I could just continue to do that, then I'd be very, very satisfied.
That's fun. That's a good goal to have. Always like, always be like the fun person at a wedding.
Yeah. Exactly. That's my main motivation these days.
Oh, well, very cool. I wish you luck with that. They're really good looking, so I'm sure they'll do well. And then like people will follow you on social media, and you'll post about it when they're available for sale.
Yeah, definitely. Should be very soon. I think like, towards the end of the year. Yeah, probably like another couple months.
Yay! It's cool. Okay, so let's jump into the second part of the interview. The questions I ask everyone. Okay, so who is Nadia Sharif's pole crush?
I mean, obviously, my one and only forever is going to be Felix Kane. I just feel like she's this beautiful fusion of like a prima ballerina meets like nasty girl stripper, and she just like blows my mind. Her body, her movement, her genuine feel. She's like my everything. Over the years, I've also like watched Yvonne Smink turn from into like this little caterpillar into this like amazing butterfly of like this nonstop creator, rotational movement, beast, beauty, everything. So Yvonne is my latest crush, like my up and coming pole star crush. Yeah, those are my two.
Cool. Yeah, no one's ever mentioned Yvonne, but Felix comes up a lot. She's like I said before, she's kind of like everyone's introductory pole person. Like, what the heck? I want to do what the hell she's doing. Like,
yeah, I just want to do that. I just want to do that.
Little do we know how freaking difficult that is.
I still can't do what she does, but that's okay. Yeah.
Awesome. So how would you like to see the pole community evolve over the next 5 years?
I hope that we kind of touched base on this earlier, but I really hope that style comes a little bit harder. A lot of competitions have been like almost a snooze fest. Luckily, we got pole theater. Pole theater did really good things for the industry where people started getting weird and funny and dark and twisted and sexy and pushing the boundaries of like what was happening in all of these like sporty competitions. So I do like the path that pole theater is taking, where it's more artistic and entertainment, and seeing that come through. Yeah, that's what I really hope.
Yeah.
It's like
we've talked
entertainment value.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot. That like obviously there's validity in the competitions that are way more like structured in terms of like skills and execution and things like that. But there is something about wanting to be entertained, like as most people. It's hard to sit and watch for hours something that does not bring entertainment value, especially just people who don't know pole. Because we want to expand. We want to be able to bring our homegirls and homeboys, and
I agree. Yeah,
they want to see pole theater.
They want to see pole theater. Yeah, and I think what it was is like a lot of people were thinking, oh, we're gonna get sponsored by Nike or something. But if Nike came to one of these like sporty competitions, they'd be like, this is not exciting at all. And I love pole dancing, and even at those competitions, I'm like, oh, I need a drink. But I think like what we should do is go more towards like getting like alcohol brands to sponsor us. Like, come to pole theater, Smirnoff, come sponsor us, Bud Light. You know what I mean? Like, they would be down for something like more entertaining. Just throwing that out there to the world of people looking for sponsors.
Yeah, on my interview with Alethea Austin about Miss Pole Dance America, we said that exact thing, like that we need like Budweiser money or we need Jack Daniels money, and like
yes,
anyone out there has connections to these companies and wants to set up some like some branding there, some sponsorship opportunities. I mean,
right.
Yeah, because the events that turn into these like evening spectacle shows, it's like theater, it's like beyond theater, because it's athletic and it's dance and it's art and it's so I think those would be some fans. Smirnoff, that's a good one.
Right. Yeah, like anybody, honestly. Like, isn't Monster down for some stuff like that?
Yeah,
right.
Too bad Sparks, you said, is already
yeah. Yeah, I would be hitting them up, definitely. They fueled my career.
Yeah, everyone be cracked out at the competitions, but
good times. They'll be screaming at least, right?
Yeah, that's true. You'll have people really engaged with the show, but yeah, I think that's totally true. So yeah, more fun competitions, and that is another thing I forgot to mention because I don't think you did it at Miss Pole Dance America, but I saw you at Pole Expo. You did a group routine that was in Miss Pole Dance America.
Oh yeah.
So like that is an example. So Brandon Grimm choreographed this piece that was a Alice in Wonderland themed performance piece, and I'm going to put the link to that in the show notes because to me that's the caliber of what pole shows should be. The costuming was amazing, the storytelling was amazing, the choreography was, so engaging. Everything like was just had such showmanship, and you performed it and at pole. Let's see, did you do it at Pole Show LA or?
No, yeah, it was at Pole Expo in the Pole Classic. Okay. Yeah,
that's right. Okay, so so that was an amazing piece, and like I'm gonna put that in the show notes for people to reference because I feel like, do you feel like that is exemplary of the kind of showmanship that you would hope to see?
I mean, honestly, like when I saw the piece, I was so blown away. I was like, and I kind of told Brandon, like, you should just add a caterpillar and I'll just like be smoking in the corner, like I want to be in this. So if you're ever going to do it again, just let me know. And it was kind of a joke. But then he was like, we're doing it again at Pole Expo, so I have your caterpillar costume ready. And I was like, oh my God, we're doing it. I'm doing it. And because when I saw it, it was so game changing and everything that a show should be. Like, it's not just pole dancing. Pole dancing is not enough. It has to be like epic costumes, epic music, lighting, props, all the things like extra, more, bigger. Yeah.
Storytelling, yeah.
And Brandon knows how to do that. He does all that like drag queen, like make you something that you're not. And I love that. It was just, and it's like classic Alice in Wonderland. Who doesn't like, the psychedelic? Yeah. Like you just took the right pill and you're watching this and it's bomb. Yeah.
I just love
so proud of him.
I love seeing pole evolve and I love seeing shows like that, come about, and it really makes me feel like, oh yeah, we're getting into some next level shit,
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
So I didn't know that's how you got involved. So that's that's
invited cool. Myself, as a joke, and then he's like, okay, you're in. I'm like, yeah. Caterpillar, honestly, that was the best piece ever. I got a 45-second solo, and I sat there for 5 minutes smoking in the corner. It was the best gig ever. I had such a good time.
Yeah, it was fun to watch too, for sure. And then also another thing I know that we should quickly touch on is, I know that, speaking of you reaching out to people when you say that you really appreciate something they're doing, is that you also did that for Black Girls Pole. Is that what it's?
Yeah.
I might believe, but it's Black Girls Pole, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you reached out to them and you've performed for them as well, just because you liked their message and.
Yeah. Well, I was like, you guys better let me in, and if you don't, there's going to be a big problem because. You can't just let Black girls in, you're not the only minority and na. And July's just like, okay, you could be in, relax. I was like, okay, good. And I think it's kind of been a message that people were really uncertain about, especially international people. Europeans really have no idea, no, Black people really are getting shot at a lot more than anybody else. It's not a joke, and it's not, a lie, and it's not being exaggerated. It's probably been happening a lot longer, but now that we all have smartphones and Facebook, it's more, I don't know, out there. Yeah. And so I just wanted to help them and support them. And I think also having somebody that's not Black would kind of get the message a little bit clearer. I think for marketing purposes, saying Black Girls Pole is very memorable, but I don't think that's really the only message. It's, just about community and support for people that are kind of, lesser advertised, if that makes sense.
And I think because, you have such a following and you've, are so known in the pole world, it was really nice, a bonus I think would be for you to be able to promote that message so much, and get the Black Girls Pole name out there.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I wanted to be a part of it, and I wanted to be that person to be like, look, this isn't just about Black girls pole. Like, that's not what it's about. It's not like, oh, go make a white girls pole. That's not what this is. It's just about, right, like supporting each other and supporting people that are, just don't get the same opportunities that everybody else does, and, just getting out there. And I also feel like, there's a piece of me that's like, as a Pakistani girl, there's been like some things kind of thrown at me, like, like when I go to the airport and they see my name and they want to check my bags and do anything extra. And it's like, I know it's because I'm Pakistani. If I was not with the Pakistani last name, I don't think we'd be going through all this. So there's been definitely times that I felt, discriminated against or, profiled for some reason. So it did like touch me too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So in solidarity.
Right. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So did we touch on everything that you can share? We touched on everyone that you're involved with. And we touched on your upcoming tour. We touched on your Twisted TV channel. I'll put your social media in the show notes.
Thank you.
Of course. Is there anything else coming up you want to share?
Well, I would like to talk about Fistful of Steel. I don't really have any connection to it, to be honest. I'm just really stoked for it. And I know that it might be the end of their campaign just now, but, it's a huge project that's going to be an international project all over the world within a really amazing team. It's not just one or two people, but it's a huge team of very professional, high-level, videographers and editors. So I'm just very stoked to see.
Can you tell people what it is?
I don't know. It's a pole dance documentary, pole dance film. Yeah, I actually don't know too much about it because I'm not in the documentary. I've just been like following it, and I'm aware of like who's making it and everything. So I know that it's going to be like next level epic, and I'm just really stoked for it.
Yeah, it's a documentary being spearheaded by Anne-Marie Davies, who we talked about earlier, and it's a documentary about the emergence and evolution of contemporary pole dance as told by the people who have shaped the industry. It's a super important project. I love that you're so stoked about it and have been promoting it, but it's because it hasn't been filmed all the way yet. People don't know what it is. So like they're going around the world and interviewing people and like putting together, documenting the history of contemporary pole and talking to some pretty major people, but it's expensive. So actually, there will be one more day left. If you were listening to this the day that this is launched, you'll have one more day to donate to the film to Indiegogo. But I'm going to put the link to it in the show notes just because if you miss, the donation period, there's still other ways you can support and just follow them and, help in any other way or just be aware of it and be pumped when it comes out. So
right. Yeah. Just raising awareness and like sharing it is like pretty much like what I just want to be able to do for Fistful of Steel. I don't have lots of money to give, but I definitely do want to raise awareness just so I feel like it might not be as big of a deal the day that it comes out, but I feel like later it's going to be such a big moment that everybody's going to refer back to it. Yeah, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. Time capsule, right? So I'm stoked to see it.
Yeah, me too. Totally.
Ah!
Okay, so before I let you leave and catch your flight off to Australia, can you leave us with an empowering message or quote just to sign off with, or?
Sure. Yeah, this is just going to come off the top of my head, but I'm just going to say, like, I hope that everyone watching or ever having listened to this can feel a moment of freedom in movement. Dance can be whatever the fuck you want it to be. It does not have to be perfection. It does not have to be game-changing, but if you can feel it in your heart and in your soul and you feel live, then that's what you're chasing for. So I hope that everybody gets to feel that at least once in their life.
Yeah, and take one of Nadia's workshops if you need to connect with that more.
Yeah, take my class. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Nadia, thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was so fun to talk with you.
I know. I'm so thankful that I got to be on it, and thank you for having me.
Yes, of course. Bye.
Okay. Mwah. Bye. Mwah.
Thank you for listening to the Pole Parlour podcast. Want more? Visit poleparlor.com for show notes and to link to the Facebook group where you can connect with other poloholics and continue the conversation. Listen to past episodes and subscribe to new episodes on the website, YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, or SoundCloud. Lots of love, babes. Thanks for listening.